Welcome to episode 44, Our Bodies.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
It's complicated.
Yeah, stay tuned. Welcome to the Witchy Wit podcast, where we look at life through a witchy lens. I'm Kimberly.
I'm Leilani.
At Witchy Wit, we explore current events,
Ideas,
music and books,
and experiences in ways that recognize energy and life in everybody and everything.
We are both real witches.
And we bring two real perspectives through the lens of our different ages,
Races,
and backgrounds.
with a healthy skepticism for what we have been told is true. Our conversations are raw, candid, and vulnerable.
Join us as we cast a spell to uncover what we each know is true in our intuitive, witchy selves.
Welcome to episode 44, Our Bodies. Before we get started, let's just kind of catch up a little bit about what's been going on in our lives since we last got together.
That sounds great. Do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. Thank you. This is June. We're recording this in June, and one of the things that San Antonio has is everyone has a Pride Month, right? And then there's a list of activities, and so one of the things that we do here is an interfaith gathering. It's a number of different organizations that are just supportive of LGBTQ plus issues and people. And then there's, I can't remember, there's an actual, or it might be, I can't remember the name of it, but there's like the Roman Catholic Church is not very supportive. So they actually have an outshoot where priests who are accepting of that will do that. But I don't know how, I know it's not official. So anyway, so we had an interfaith gathering. It was really fun. I was kind of asked at the last minute because they needed a pagan. So they had like a Catholic, they had a, this, that, and the other. So they needed a pagan, and someone recommended me for it. So it was very last minute, but I did get some approval from some of the members of our council.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it was fun, but it was also really meaningful because some people actually got kind of choked up. About when they were talking about like their various journeys and how they got to a sense of acceptance within their religion, and so it was really heartwarming for me to hear that, and I didn't do a whole lot of talking. I had prepared this thing, and then I knew I was going to sing, and then when I got up to talk, I kind of shit canned it and then just said something about being accepting and how we have agreements around that. And then I sang the Suzanne Sterling song, Rise Up into the Spirit. Yeah, so I sang that, and then everyone joined in and people were dancing in the aisles. It was really, 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 really wonderful. And I think this was during Pride Month, but I think the group meets every month or every quarter or something like that. So hopefully I'll be involved with them again because I really loved the energy, and I'd like to be a part of that as well.
I have a question real quick.
Sure.
How did you introduce yourself?
Oh, I said Kimberly.
And then,
okay.
and then did you have like a little placard that said like pagan, or like did you like say who you like?
Oh,
like how you identify?
Oh, thank you. That's a great question.
I was just curious.
Kimberly, pagan. No, I introduced myself as Kimberly, and then I just mentioned the name of our circle, and so everyone can infer from the name of our circle that I represented a non-Christian outlook.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
So, what about with you? What's been going on in your neck of the woods?
So, I wanted to share that, as frequently happens, I feel like my life is better because you're in it. Now, how did I get to that thought?
Okay, yeah.
Come on a journey with me.
Okay.
Come on a journey.
Sure.
Our listeners, come on a journey with me.
Where are we going, Leilani?
We're going on a gratitude trip.
Okay.
So I was out of town for a few days. I was with my partner up at his school, and we were doing a bunch of fun things. And so I wasn't in San Antonio, so I had my air conditioner not turned off, but turned up very high. So my house was probably sitting between like 80 and 90 degrees. So then I got back into town, and I turned my air conditioner on, and
this is what you hear.
This is how I was greeted. So lovely, right? that for our listeners, that is the motor of my air conditioner. So I called my AC guy, who is I'm very fond of my AC guy, and he like came over and looked at it and stuff like that, and told me that we were going to need to replace the motor because this thing called a squirrel cage, which I find hilarious sounding, which is this like thing that looks like a squirrel could fit in it. I don't know if it was invented by like Trisha Squirrel, and that's why it's called squirrel cage, or if it's the size that a squirrel could fit in, so they call it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not an AC repair person, but he says that we need to replace it and all this stuff, and I did some Googling, which verifies that like my air conditioner is at about the right age to need a new whatever. So I was like, that sounds great. I have the money saved up, so like I can do this, but I reframed the way I was thinking about it instead of like, oh my gosh, I saved up all this money and now I'm going to have to spend it on an air conditioner. So instead of that, I get to fix my air conditioner. I'm going to get to have cool air in my house in South Texas.
Woo-hoo!
When it's 107 degrees outside without a heat index. I am so excited.
Yay. Look at you.
Look at me. And I got that attitude from watching you.
Well, I'm so glad. I'm such a good model for you for that. Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. And congratulations on the soon-to-be new addition to your home.
Right.
And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to come over one day and experience it myself.
Yes.
And it's so funny because I didn't think about that, but right before my air conditioning died, I heard a similar sound, but I didn't know that it was my outside unit.
Okay.
But I didn't know that was the problem. And maybe if I had figured that out, that would have saved my circuit, the electricity issues as well. So way to be proactive.
Thank you.
And way to look out for yourself because this is all self-care. This goes back to our self-care episode,
I like that.
Yeah, so way to show yourself some love.
Thank you. And way to model that for me so that I could pull from it like whenever it happened for me. I was like looking at the cost and my partner was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, oh, this is nothing compared to what Kimberly paid. This is fine.
I mean, it's peanuts, baby, peanuts. And you're doing it in such a way that you don't have that. Eventually you're going to replace it, right?
Right.
That's just the nature of the beast. But you're pushing it off much, much longer, and you get to enjoy, at a lesser cost, some cool air.
Yay!
And we live in South Texas, so There you go.
Thank you for making my life better in that way and modeling for me.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So we're episode 44, Our Bodies. And I mean, this is one of those topics that can be so fraught, right? Particularly in our society, and I'll come back to that in a bit. And this is another one of those topics where we could probably do like a whole series.
I think so.
On these, but let's see what happens today, shall we?
Let's go on this journey.
Let's do this. Okay. So, where shall we start?
That's a great question. Which I think speaks to the magnitude of this topic. It's like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
But I thought that maybe a good way for us to start might be with a vulnerable share in line with our opening.
Yes.
Raw, candid, and vulnerable. Just about maybe like, where are we coming from?
Yeah.
As we have this conversation today, like where are we seated in our experiences with our bodies?
Okay.
How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good. Why don't I get started? So, so again, having lived the number of years I've lived, my relationship with my body has changed dramatically, and sometimes in good ways, sometimes not so much. I remember growing up, my upbringing, and I don't want to say all Baptists are this way, but just the Baptist upbringing that I grew up with, the body was something to be overcome. The body was, it tempted us into doing things that would take us away from being good, Christians and fitting our souls for heaven, right? So we had to watch and modulate and control our bodies. Like they tempt us to drink or to dance or to well. So that's where my family, sometimes they picked and chose what aspects of the Baptist church they were going to follow. Well, and actually we were missionary Baptists, so that was a little bit different because we had dances and stuff. So, but things like that you had to be cautious about, because if you weren't, they would tempt you off the path. So, sex, all of that kind of stuff. The body would do what it wants to do, which is not necessarily what's supposed to be good for you spiritually. So because of that, I had a very I'm not sure if I have the right term for it, but just I was disassociated, I think, from my body. It was just something. It was a thing that I had to guard against, and I had to protect myself against. At least initially growing up. And I carried that into my early 20s because your body could tempt you into doing a whole bunch of things that would cause a lot of other complications to your life. But as I've gotten older, I've and like I said, this has been a bumpy road, and I've gotten, I go back and forth and backslide, and I don't know if backslide is the right term, but I've begun to think of it more. I've begun to be more playful with it. And so one of I thought about this when we were starting to make an outline. So one of the things I do in the morning is I just, I'm naked, I'm just looking in the mirror, and I do I don't know if I have fun in the mirror. So have you ever made your belly button you probably can't, but have you ever made your belly button sing?
Like turn it into a mouth?
Yeah.
Like this?
Oh, you can do
like this?
Hello, Kimberly.
You can't do it. Well, I do stuff like that, or I make, I make one boob go up and one boob go down, and I've just gotten more playful. And sometimes I just think, you are just like totally ridiculous. I'm kind of amazed at how silly I can. The word I say is stupid, but how silly I can get in the mornings. Because before that first cup of coffee, all bets are off.
Yes.
So I've gotten more playful about it. But it was a long, long, long road to hoe. How about with you? I know you can't top belly button singing, but
I'm gonna just try to show up as myself. But I just feel like our episode peaked with the belly button singing. And this is where, podcasting, they couldn't see that I actually lifted up my shirt. And
she did it. She did it.
Made the little, yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can take a little video of it for our Patreon. People.
I'm not sure if that would make people leave Patreon.
Why are we giving money for this?
I don't know if this
We're
is
supporting
the podcast I want to support.
But it was pretty good, I have to say. It actually spoke to me. I felt moved.
I'm also noticing my belly button person has a lower voice.
I'm noticing that too. Well, because it's lower than your.
My toes are baritone.
Oh, well, our toes need to talk later. Okay.
Okay, my experience with my body. I think that it was informed a lot by society. Mm-hmm. I, as I shared in other episodes, I was regularly irregular at church, so I don't really feel like I picked up much there. I can't really think about times where that was influential to me. It was more like an inconvenience in my life. It was less consistent enough to actually plant anything in my brain. But I know that from an early age, my memories that stick out to me are all body memories. Mm-hmm. Good and bad, pleasant and unpleasant, happy and hurtful, are all memories around my body. So I know that I've been deeply connected to my body since I was little, whether it be swimming in my pool and just really enjoying the feeling of water as it rushes over my body. I spent a lot of time doing that. Or walking in grass barefoot as a little kid. I remember taking off my shoes because I wanted to walk barefoot, which is actually I think I shared on one of our first episodes how I knew I was a witch. That's one of my earliest memories.
Right. I do kind of remember that. Yeah.
So I know I as a kid I experienced have an intense personality. I don't know if that comes as a surprise,
No.
but I'm fairly intense.
Yes, you
and
are. And I love it.
Thank you. I experience my emotions very, very much in my body. So I feel my feelings in my body. And so as a kid, I was also an intense child. And so I experience them a lot in my body. I do know that as an adult, when I look back at it, I think that because of that intensity of experience, I learned to shut out my feelings by shutting down my body.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I also learned to shut down my body by shutting down my body. So after having some experiences growing up where I wanted to separate from my body, I shut down this connection with my body, which also then shut down my feelings because I feel them in my body. So I spent a lot of my time growing up being very disconnected from my body. And it may look like I had a connection, but because I think my connection is so deep to my body, and because my knowing is rooted in my body, it was pretty significant having that disconnect. So a lot of my adult life has been around me reconnecting with my body, me being more aware of my body, me listening to my body, because I spent so long just like ignoring it or telling it to shut up and just do what it needed to do. Right.
So I'm going to ask a question, and you can always, say no. Cut this from the recording. But was it like a societal, like a gradual thing that made you start disassociating or separating from the body? What was it? Something, if you care to share.
I think it was. I think that society was happy to oblige with telling me things about my body, and telling me to, we'll talk about this later, but like our bodies are never going to be good enough for society, because society always has something to sell us and has an agenda for power and repression. But for me in particular, it was some personal experiences that, and then as my way of coping, I just turned off my body.
Gotcha.
And I don't think I was aware of it on a level where I was able to process it, but my body and my emotions knew what they were doing, and were like, for a way of surviving, we're just gonna not think about our bodies, and we're just not gonna not process our body, and we're just not gonna tap into our body. We're just not gonna think about it.
So it was a coping mechanism.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Wow.
One that I didn't realize I was doing. And so then, I'm like trucking around as an adult, and then it's like, oh, I didn't know that was oh, okay. And like, let's unpack this now.
I was going to ask, so do you care to share a little bit about, like, when was your first realization that had happened? If you know.
That's a great question. My first realization was really, it was actually a part of what led to my divorce. I realized that I was really disconnected from all parts of my body. And then I was in therapy and thinking that I was working on some like body trauma, which, I was, but everything is interconnected.
Right.
And then I realized that I had been just like really disconnected from my body. And then when I started reconnecting to my body through therapy, that was when I started listening to my body. That was when my body started telling me that things were not right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And then if I'm jumping ahead, you can say I'm jumping ahead. Because one of the things that I so associate with you is, the dancing and the acro yoga and all of these things. Were you able to do that before, or was it only after the therapy and the realization that they became so important in your life?
That was only after.
Wow.
And it's interesting because I think people who know me now see me as like very body, very active, very
totally.
I dance,
right?
I do partner acrobatics, I do handstands, I do all these things. Like I love to move, and I think before a certain time period in my life that was true, and I was in it, but I was not as much, and it was. I don't want to say it was like half-hearted, because that's not correct. Like my whole heart was in it, but I was not I wasn't as experiential with it, because it was like I only cracked the window open a little bit, you know. But actually, I took a pole dancing class with my sister.
I remember. Right.
This was a long time ago.
Right.
So, you know, like maybe like 2007 or 2008. Like it was a while ago, and that was actually really fun and really empowering. And it was it was like an exercise pole dancing class, just so that people know. Not that there's anything wrong with any other type of pole dancing class. I think they're great. But this one was, in particular, was focused on like fitness. It was like a pole fitness class. But even just a pole fitness class, when I was using my body in these ways, I was like, oh my gosh, like I can, like my body is capable. My body can do these things. And it just, I see that in retrospect as like a step towards this reclaiming of my body, which I had compartmentalized, and that society was very helpful in like liking me to compartmentalize it,
right,
and reinforcing that.
And so I mean, obviously this is all so very interconnected, I'm sure for a lot of people, but definitely for you. So the whole thing with the body was also, you know, compartmentalizing emotions and reactions to experiences and things like that for you.
Yeah, I think because I'm so body focused, that the my emotions are deeply tied into my body, which I know we've talked about in our episodes, like when our elemental episodes, which we do have our 4th installment coming up.
Yes.
Which is air.
Yes.
And I push against air a lot.
Yeah.
Which literally is not that helpful, because like when you push against air, like I'm pushing against air right now, like
and nothing. Yeah, right. Yeah. And air's like, keep
like,
going,
cool.
keep going. Yeah,
I'll keep doing that. But I literally and figuratively push against air a lot, because I think that in my resistance and compartmentalizing of body, I went to air a lot.
Totally.
And so I have a lot of resistance towards going to air, because I really want to get back to like where I think I am more naturally. But I guess I have some resentment towards air.
Yes, and of course, it, like with everything else, there's a spectrum, and so how much air is going to be allowed in your life depends on, you know, maybe, I don't know, situations or something like that. And we'll discuss that more if we ever get to it. we keep adding more and more ideas for episodes that keep pushing air back.
Pushing air, we're just gonna push the air back. Push it back.
So we are pushing against air, right? Okay. Yeah. So when you talk about, you know, societal things, and we keep saying we'll get to that, but I think for me, recognizing, because I'm not there yet, but figuring out for me what are societal messages and what are my own messages. As I get more and more adept at negotiating that, I become more and more aware of how I actually feel about my body, which, as I say, I've learned, like, now it's, you know, there's parts that hang, there's parts that, you know, sag, there's parts that jut out and things like that. And it's me. And so, I'm just getting to the part where I can consistently celebrate, my body and how I feel about my body, and work with the feelings and what the feelings tell me about myself. It's a work in progress. Yeah.
Something that you said that really resonated was the word consistent. Because I think that really highlights something that's true for me in my experience with my body, is that it you know, depends on, it's like, if you ask me, what is your relationship to your body? I'd be like, at what point in time would you like for me to address? Even at what point of the day?
Yes.
Right now? What minute of the hour? You know, because I feel like for me, my relationship with my body changes and it fluctuates. And at some moments, my relationship with my body is the body of the goddess. My body is a sacred vessel. My body is amazing. Like literally, like the actual meaning of the word amaze, right? My body is like a holy miracle, and it contains my spirit, and it can, you know, it takes me places, and I can stand on my hands, and I can, you know, it it allows me to dance and to feel all these wonderful things and flow whenever I dance. It lets me do the dishes. You know, I can bend over and touch my toes. I have like a pretty significant spinal curvature, so I haven't even always been able to bend over and touch my toes or get anywhere near my toes. You know, but like I can bend over and touch my toes. You know, this is amazing. You know, so like it fluctuates. Sometimes I'm there. Sometimes I'm like, my stomach doesn't look the way that I like. And when I look at my back, there's a curve. I have a little fold of skin in my back. It's like a roll.
A little fold.
I have like a fold of skin on my back because my spine curves left to right, and so it causes like a roll type of fold in my flesh, and I hate the way that looks. And when I see it, whenever I'm wearing a bathing suit, or in videos of me dancing or doing acro, you know, like I'm like, look at that, you know, and I point at it and I get like angry at like my body, you know, or like my back hurts because of my scoliosis, or frustration of like, I didn't get a good night's sleep tonight. Well, now I'm going to be tired all day. Well, great. Well, get it together, body. Like, why can't you, you know, just freaking sleep? Now I'm going to be tired, you know.
Meanwhile, your body's like, hello.
Right,
There's 2 of us here, or 10 of us here. I'm not sure.
Right. But it just, you know, it really, so I just want to be clear so that our listeners, as they're hearing me speak, that it's not like I sit around all day and like I'm floating around in the lotus position feeling gratitude for my body. You know? Like I fluctuate, and even though, and then just add another layer on that, even though for the majority of my life I have been very, 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 very thin. Like it's just my natural way is that I was like very, very thin, like rail thin. Like that's just the way that I was growing up. Like so, in a lot of ways, like my body is very societally pleasing. I'm fair skinned, you know, I'm thin. Like there's a lot of things that society is like, great job genetics, you know. And
great job genetics, I love that.
And even with that, you know, like there's still a struggle.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I so appreciate that, because if I had said mine first, I would have felt like I was complaining and whining or whatever. But you know, I totally agree with you. Like I feel as if my body is this vessel for divinity. And sometimes the vessel is the good ship lollipop. And sometimes the vessel is that huge Munga Royal Caribbean that's like the size of a city. And that's, you know, and it has nothing, in this case, I can't blame society. This is just like, sometimes I get up in the morning and I just leap out of bed and I feel, I never feel light as a feather, to be honest. But I feel, you know, like, okay, I'm ready to tackle the day. And then sometimes I just kind of drag myself out of the bed and roll into the bathroom. And, you know, I'm just picturing myself like pulling myself up against the counter so I can see like the top of my head in the mirror. And that, I mean, I feel like heavy, big and heavy and unattractive and unhappy and tired and lethargic, et cetera, et cetera. And I blame my body for that. And I with something that you said, and I can't remember exactly what it was, made me realize it has nothing to do with my body. It's the same body. It's the same, the exact, well, maybe not the, you know, pound here, pound there, whatever. It may not be the exact same body it was the day before, but it's me, and I'm attributing all of this stuff to what my body looks like or weighs or whatever, when it's really how I'm feeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And poor body, I'm sorry. I'm trying to pat myself.
You're patting your leg, just so people know. You're like gently caressing.
Yes.
Your
I'm sorry.
thigh.
I've been so mean to you, and it's like, finally, thank you for recognizing
Right?
that. Yeah. And to be fair, we're taught to do this. I mean, whether it's your church or your parents or your society or whatever, we're taught to. Can we go here now? We keep saying we're going to get there later.
Sure, let's do it. Now is later.
Okay, there we go. We're taught by our society to have to think of our bodies as objects, right? We're supposed to be subjects. We are literally the center of our own universe. But the message I've gotten, or the message that I've absorbed, whether it's the one that was actually dispersed, was that I'm somewhere like the center of my universe, and my body's another thing. that I can look at just like everybody else can look at it, and then I can look at it like or as I think everybody's looking at it, and make all of these judgments about it because it's something kind of separate from myself, and then because of that, for me to have a happy life, my body, just like I need my house to look a certain way, or I've got to go wash my car, or I've got to groom my dog because Lord knows he needs to be groomed. I've also got to do this stuff to my body so that I can live happily. I can be a happy person. And we can talk about those messages in a moment, but I didn't know if you have anything you want to add.
Let's go on. I want to add to those messages. Let's go on a journey with those messages.
So one of the things that, like I said, we're taught to think of our bodies as objects. But everybody's taught to look at women's bodies, bodies in general, as objects.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do I want to put this? But it's done most with women's bodies. When you think about it, women's bodies sell liquor. Women's bodies sell cars and yachts and airplanes. And women's bodies are things that don't belong to human beings. They belong to, I don't know who they belong to, but there are these things that people can, if you look at the comments on Jennifer Lopez's Behind. Remember, mm-hmm. You may not remember this is easily 15 years ago, but there was this whole thing. I can't remember. She wore a green dress to one of these things that accentuated her rear end, and people just went on and on. It's a woman. You're talking about a woman, mm-hmm. but they take this one thing because it's one thing on a thing. It's her butt. It's a butt on a body that you can. It's just like there for everyone to discuss. I'm sorry, I'm going a little bit on a rant, but that's, to me, that instance is kind of endemic of how we treat women's bodies, and that there's these things, and they have to be a certain way. They have to be perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. But if you buy this stuff that you can put in your juice, or if you buy this diet, program, or if you take this quiz or whatever, you can get close to perfection. And then you will be happy, or then I will. Well, that they say you. Then you will be happy, mm-hmm. and we are conditioned to buy that hook, line, and sinker. I mean, to just swallow that up and make it a part of us and spend all of. And it's not just women. Men are taught, but with different things, right? But with women, it's taught with our bodies that if we get our bodies to be a certain way, we will then be happy. We can, or maybe we can die happy.
Yes. I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that. And I feel that as a skinny white woman, I can't even imagine what it would be like. Mm-hmm. Because if I think about,
you're close to that. You're close to that.
If
model.
I think about
mm-hmm.
if I think about beauty standards
mm-hmm.
as like a bullseye target, mm-hmm. With like our culture's like highest ideal of beauty in the center, I just, by luck of the dice, mm-hmm. on being born into mm-hmm. this body, yes. I am closer to the center than a lot of people,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, like, if that's a heavy burden I'm like picturing mm-hmm. the bullseye and me like standing on it. If it feels heavy for me, I can't even imagine like as we move farther out.
Yeah.
Yeah. With people who have different colors of skin, people who have different shapes of bodies, people who are people with disabilities. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't even imagine what that would be like.
And I think of myself as relatively sanguine about my body. So you were talking about the abilities of your body. One of the things that I keep trying to remind myself is essentially my body is supposed to, walk me someplace. My arms are supposed to help me cook my meals. My mouth is supposed to help me communicate. And my body does all that stuff. Mm-hmm. It does it all beautifully. Excuse me. Sorry. Well, except for this burping issue, but...
Maybe your body is like revolting in this moment. It's like, hold up.
It's like, girls, okay, there's some things that we could be working on right now. but generally, it does what it's supposed to do. And I pay no attention to that. Well, I mean, I do, because we're discussing it. But I am conditioned to not pay any attention to that. And women are conditioned to not pay any attention to the fact that their bodies are doing what they're supposed to do because they don't look a certain way. Mm-hmm. I mean, your body doesn't have to look a certain way to help you pick up a child or to, to help you go out and pull up your cabbage or whatever, and you might need to work with your back, right, to pull up a cabbage. You might need it, if you have a physical disability, you might need to work with that. But it doesn't matter what it looks like for it to be able to do what bodies do so beautifully. Mm-hmm. And so many women are conditioned to, I don't know how I want to put that. The marketing and publishing and business, the industry has developed a whole campaign to make women not be happy with their bodies. Because they don't look a certain way, even though they do everything that they're supposed to do. And it burns me. It burns me to see that, because I'm coming out of that, and I see so many people who are still caught up with that, where, they're, if you get on the scale, your day is ruined because it says a certain number, or you look in the mirror and you see that your thighs don't look the way, whatever. Some model who eats a leaf of lettuce. I'm just making that up. I don't know what they eat. But anyway, but the fact that we're held to these arbitrary, because remember, so you're probably too young to remember this, but there was a phase in there, maybe the 70s or 80s, where the look was Kate Moss. Do you remember that name? Do you know that name? She was a model, and it was the waif look.
Oh,
the waif look.
Like the Twiggy.
Twiggy, yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. She was after Twiggy, but that really, almost. I mean, she looked
like
emaciated.
heroin chic, like.
Chic, yes.
Like super duper thin.
Super like ill thin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was the look. That was the look. And diets were marketed to help you to, drop those pounds so that you could look, I can't remember, willowy was how they
well, that's a nice way to describe it.
Willowy.
Me over here with my heroin chic.
I know. Exactly, willowy. So And they sold all those diet programs and the diet pills and all that kind of stuff. I just remember that, and I bought them for a while too. So it's so and it's not even $1 million. It's $1 billion industry that's still going on, even as in my opinion, our society is getting a little bit more healthy about that. But even so, there's still people who say. What is it? I'd rather be a gorgeous corpse than, I can't remember, but there was a saying, something about, I'd rather be a skinny corpse than a fat alive person or something. I can't remember. Yeah. Trust me, I can't remember this, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You can never be too rich or too thin was another one.
Wow.
So there you go, Mm-hmm. So some people might remember some of these phrases, but yeah. So, but you see, fortunately, you've never heard that, because we've gotten.
I haven't ever heard that.
Yeah, we've gotten that much more healthy. But I know I do. I remember hearing those.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Some famous person might have, not Coco Chanel, but like a Coco Chanel type person said that you can never be too rich or too thin. Maybe it was Coco Chanel. I'll check that out.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So you just talked about kind of the messages changing over the years, over the decades. Have you experienced a change in the way you relate to your body as connected to either time unfolding or as women our bodies change?
I'm not sure. Do you mean? Could you say that again? With different words.
Sure. I'm just curious. As time has unfolded, and as women, our bodies unfold in different phases, in different stages, right? Have you had a changing relationship to your body as either time has progressed or your body has changed in phases?
Yeah, I think both actually. The only thing, how you can't go back, even though time is a stagnant pond, but whatever. But one of the things that I wish, and I try to do kind of some work around this, is that I wished I had appreciated my body when it could do a lot of those things that I mentioned so much more effortlessly and freely. Or there's a line in one of the plays I'm in, is care freely, care freely. So but I'm super, super happy with how it functions for the most part. Now it's functioning. I'm actually healthier now than I would have been 20 years ago. eating better, the oils and all that kind of stuff. So that helps. But I think a lot of it's just been my mental changes, and because like I said, the body has changed. It may be losing a step here. I don't walk as fast as I used to, that kind of stuff. But I appreciate it so much more, and I recognize the beauty in the diversity, and I try as much as possible to make it like when we're done recording, I'm going to go to the gym. I want it to function as well as possible. But I think a lot of as it's changed, as I've gotten older, as I say, as things have moved a little further south, I've learned to appreciate it more, and to and like I said, become a little bit more lighthearted and playful. Did I answer the question that you asked? Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's because I think as each woman does this work, then that's helping society. This comes back to my other, how I think about a lot of things. But society's not going to change on its own. The industry's not going to change on its own. Well, industry would change when we stop buying stuff that they're pushing for various reasons. And so, as I think as individuals change and grow and can kind of see the man behind the curtain type of thing, and recognize, we're being sold a bill of goods, that gradually changes the atmosphere, the world, the environment, and that's when industry is going to change. That's when PR and the marketing and all that kind of stuff is going to change.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. So, let's talk, because this is going to kind of be like a little bit of a downer, and then we can end with some more stuff that's one of the things that we're recording this in June, in the end of June, and this is after the SCOTUS decision overturning Roe versus Wade. And one of the things that infuriates me, regardless of whatever your stance might be on abortion, pro-life or pro-choice or whatever, the idea that our bodies can be controlled by government is just, I'm speechless. I'm not speechless. You're about to hear some speech, but I can't find, even the words that I'm going to use are not going to be able to express the depth of despair and fear and fury that exists in me right now because of these changes. And again, this has the implications of this go past the idea of abortion and for the 9 months. It goes into monitoring and controlling women's bodies. So for example, I'm just going to say this and then I'm going to get off my soapbox. If a woman has a miscarriage, so she's suffering the pain and the anguish of a miscarriage, in some states, she then has to suffer the surveillance and the interrogation of a bunch of people who then compound her pain by trying to figure out if she did it on purpose. And I mean, can you imagine going through losing a child and then having to justify, like, they could ask you, so were you smoking? Were you doing some sort of illegal drug? That.
Should you have been traveling? Like, should you have been on that plane? I don't know. I'm just making some.
I know, but you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, where does it stop? That's the thing. Everyone says, "Oh, that's not bullshit." Mm-hmm. I mean, there were so many things that we said weren't going to happen, and just stop it. Just stop pretending that this is about something other than a bunch of people hating women controlling their bodies. I'm stepping off my soapbox now. I'm not done, but I'm done for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I say all of this because this is, as we think about our bodies, I like to think, if I feel this way, I can control my environment, and therefore everything's going to be, rainbows shooting out of unicorns' asses and stuff like that. And no, there's other things going on that are powerful and that need to be addressed, and this is one of those things. Sorry, didn't mean to bring us down.
It's directly tied to our bodies, right? Whenever I was getting divorced, it took me 11 months from when I asked for the divorce to when it was legally finalized. By the way, it was finalized on winter solstice, and that was not on, like, I didn't pick that on purpose. I do think it was on purpose universally. But anyways, so it took about 11 months, and I remember being in court and standing in front of the judge and signing the paperwork and thinking, what sort of bullshit is this? That a judge is telling me, like, I have been divorced for a long time now. Like, this is bullshit. That this judge is telling me, well, now you're divorced. Like, oh, no. I have been,
right.
Like that sort of disparity between reality versus, like, the legal system versus my reality. That is the closest experience I can go to like latch onto to kind of explain this feeling of that you bring up, which is like what I know is best and me taking care of my body, and then having something external tell me differently. And that feeling of like, oh, no. Like, you are like, no, that is not right. Like, I know what is right. So.
And even if you didn't know what was right, it's still your freaking body. Mm-hmm. It is still your body. We are more than incubators. We are more than broodmares. But these laws, people say, oh, no, it's not about that. Bullshit. It is oh, I'm sorry. Didn't I say I was going to stop? Okay, after this, I'm going to really, really stop. I promise. And you're going to hold me to this.
Okay.
Basically, these laws are saying we are very little more than incubators, bearers of children, whatever, because that takes precedence over anything else in our lives, our careers, our mental or emotional health, our relationships. It takes place over that. That is more important than anything else. What they deem what's more important for us. Okay, I'm done now. I promise.
It's hard for me to regulate that because I regulate your speech because I like hearing what you have to say. So I'm not a good no, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I called my OBGYN actually today because I read an article about how there may be some, the future for copper IUDs is uncertain. And I have a copper IUD. And so I called my OBGYN and was like, I need to get in to see you. Mm-hmm. Because.
Yeah. I mean, you could be, oh my gosh, you'll be a criminal. You might have to hide out in my back in my shed.
Right? Because copper IUDs prevent implantation. But
the thing already exists, but it just doesn't take hold in the womb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like that's how copper IUDs work, and because that's how copper IUDs work, some legal scholars are postulating that perhaps this may be something that they would go after, especially because that one Supreme Court justice said that he wanted to look at contraceptives. So, like, it was this a real experience where I was like reading the article and then that popped up and I was like, oh, that is literally in my body.
And you might overnight become a criminal.
I could.
You might overnight become a murderer.
Wow, like this is really happening.
You've done nothing different. Mm-hmm. But the country has decided, or the state has decided, that you are a murderer.
Mm-hmm. So I called my OBGYN. So that's like, I'm like, this is real. Like, this is really happening. Like, wow.
Yeah. And so all the people who say, oh, it can't happen, bullshit, it can happen here.
It is happening.
I remember, I'm going to mention this and then just move on, I promise. But I just remember I reread The Handmaid's Tale last year, and I might have said this already in one of our episodes, but one of the things it said in there that back when I read it the first time, back in the 80s, I just, I thought, oh, this is silly. This is fantasy. This is, one of those future predictions that'll never take place. But the line was, when they stormed the Capitol and killed the members of Congress. all of a sudden that took a totally, because I read this in 2021.
Oh,
After
wow.
they had they didn't kill the Congress because they didn't catch them,
Yeah.
but people mobs stormed Congress. And so all of that, oh, this can't happen here. It's already happened here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's already happened here. And it's already happened here. All of these things are already happening here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to our bodies.
So
divine vessels.
yes. So let's like. So clearly, this shows that our bodies are powerful because they are being regulated by the government, right?
That's right. They're afraid of us. They're afraid.
I think that's really true,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like we have it written on our outline,
Mm-hmm.
our bodies are connections to the sacred. Our bodies are powerful.
We create life. We create life. We create and sustain life. And I get that that's why it engenders such fear on the part of people who can't do that. And they fear power that they can't control. So they try to control it. But it's one of those things where it's kind of that double-edged sword, right? And they want to control because it's such a miracle.
I just want to like say that again, like what you just said. Like our bodies are powerful and they can't control it, and they fear what they can't control, so that's why they
Mm-hmm.
oppress,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I really hate being a part of that oppression. Like I really don't like the fact that like I buy into that like that control, like we were talking about earlier, like the advertisements for like, you know, buy this pill or buy this exercise routine or buy these stupid Instagram leggings that have like a seam going up your ass that are ruched so it makes your butt look big. You know?
I don't need to worry about that. So maybe that's why it doesn't show up in my feed.
But I'm like looking at these leggings and
yeah.
I'm like, ow. You know? But also like I could see I did not ever want to buy them. But I was like, I see why people would want to buy these. Like they make your butt look like they're yeah. But like people are always trying to sell and oppress and repress
And control and yeah.
and this is and to me this government oppression is inextricably tied to
Unfortunately,
the Instagram leggings and the diet pills and the commentary on J-Lo's butt from 20 years ago that you were mentioning that I don't know about. You know, like those are they're all just different faces of this same thing.
Yeah. And what's so sad about it for me is that this is something, they're taking something that is so wondrous and are refusing to see the wonder. And I think that that's one of the things that, you know, a lot of the people in witchy circles, you know, perhaps a lot of pagans, I can't speak for them, but that's one of the things that we celebrate is that wonder, and it feels counterculture to celebrate the beauty of the divinity of women's bodies, the holiness, the sacredness, and it's because at one point I thought, okay, the rest of the world is getting there, but you know, it's again 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 5 steps back, that kind of thing. We're constantly doing that dance. Oh yeah, like yeah, like 5 steps back. Okay, anyway, you know, it's a little bit of a dance, a little bit more of a dramatic and maybe a painful dance, but a dance nonetheless. But I so enjoy being around women and people in general, but definitely around other women who have come through this and still do the celebration, still understand the wonder and celebrate that wonder.
I think that being in our circle and processing to those messages that we want to send, which is that our bodies are sacred vessels, that our bodies are powerful centers of creation, whether it be creating children, creating other things. You know, as someone who doesn't have children, like I want to make sure that, you know, I feel held up and celebrated for the things that I create. And I do feel like a sense of a creative vortex in my body. But I do think that the fact that we are a part of that countercultural message is very radical. Like, this is it's a radical message for me to go to ritual and to be told that my body is sacred and that my wisdom is in my body and that I should trust my body and that my body sends me these messages of knowing. Like, my sense of knowing is rooted in my body. I literally feel it. When I'm reading tarot and I'm trying to figure out, it feels like I'm listening. I'm flipping over cards and I'm trying to listen to what is being told to me. And when I say something out loud and it doesn't, and I'm like, that's not it. I can feel it. I feel it right here. Like, I just said what I thought it was, and it's not that. I feel it right here. I'm like, I said that. Nope, that's not right. Hold on. Is it this? Nope, that's not right either. And I can do that until I figure it out, and then my body is like, that's it.
Right.
That sense of knowing. Right. And it doesn't just happen in tarot, but it happens, like, that's my way of knowing. And like, sometimes whenever I'm in non-ritual spaces or I'm in non-witchy spaces with other people and we're trying to figure something out, and I'll be like, okay, so we're going to do this. No, that's not right. No. So we're supposed to do this. Nope. Like, what? Leilani, that's a great idea. Like, that would be really fun. We should do that. That's not what we're supposed to do. Like, yeah. But I feel it and I know, and my body tells me when I'm doing the right thing, when I'm listening. I can hear what my body's communicating. And that in itself is radical, right?
Very radical. It took me years to get to that point where I trusted my body enough to do that. I'd been so used to not listening to my body. You mentioned, jumping out of bed, like not getting enough sleep. And I mean, I remember in some, like partying all night, maybe sleeping for an hour, and then, taking a shower maybe, and then running out and going to work, and expecting my body to carry me through all of that kind of stuff. So it took me a while to get there, but now I'm closer to this model, this perfection of really, recognizing that that's my seat of knowing, of deep knowing, and that sitting in that and allowing my body to talk to me is much more effective and more powerful than just trusting on the thoughts that go through because you have tons of thoughts that go through your brain. Like you said, when you say something, you say, okay, that's not it. Mm-hmm. So you have tons and tons of thoughts. I would say probably 1/10 of which, if that, 1% of which is probably useful, mm-hmm. right? And so getting to that point where I really I listen to and trust my body is so very recent, and I'm still amazed sometimes when I will say, "Oh, I really should do this today," and I get this message like, "No, you don't. You really shouldn't do this today," mm-hmm. and I have to stop and say, "No, it's my body. They told me something. Oh my god!" So it's still that fresh for me. So it sounds like you're much more adept at using that as a part of your day to day. For me, it's still like, whoa, but I'm getting more used to trusting that. And another element that I always had, but I paid very little attention to, and I'm allowing to flower more, is we talked about planes of existence in our last episode, which, episode 43, planes of existence and different dimensions. And my connection to the all is in my body. And so it's not, I thought it was this mental thing where I just sit and I meditate and blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. When when we're doing some ecstatic work and I'm so totally feeling in myself, I also feel everything around me, and I feel, in my opinion, I'm feeling like the galaxy. I'm feeling all of the other souls that are around me. I'm dancing with them. I'm mingling with them. Their energy is coming into my energy a little bit, and I honestly believe that that's what's taking place, and that's totally grounded in my body. It has very little to do with my if anything, my brain's like, are you sure that's what's going on? You sure you're just not reading too many of them woo-woo books and you think that that's what's going on? But when I am trusting and I'm in it, it's it's amazing. It's not even 5D. It's probably like 6 or 7D, which we'll talk about in another episode.
If you're wondering about the D's, you can go back to our episode on planes of existence. I didn't know that was true for you.
Totally.
That
true
is
for me.
that's so the way I experience my connection to the sacred. I did not realize that was true for you as well.
Totally. Now, 30 years ago, I probably said, "Oh, I'm feeling, I don't know, the angels or God or whatever." I had different words for it, but the words I'm using are a lot more true for me, and I think that who knows, 20 years from now I might have different words, right? But that's that feeling, that's that sensation, and that's when I'm most myself, is when I'm kind of sort of like everybody else too.
I love that.
And that's all in my body. It's not my head, it's not my emotions, it might be my soul and spirit and all that, but I can only get there through my body.
Wow. I feel like you're speaking for me.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Well, see, I'm so glad we had this conversation, because I wouldn't have known that we have this. I mean, I know how I can see you when we do stuff, and you're like there. Yeah. But I didn't know that you were sensing it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Like sitting meditations are hard for me, but walking meditations or moving meditations, or even if I stand up, so if we're in ritual space, if I stand up and I sway side to side. Or even if I'm sitting, if I sway front to back or side to side, if I somehow start moving, it makes it accessible for me. But being told to sit still, no.
Our next ritual that we're going to plan together, it's got to be a dancing ritual.
Okay.
If you insist. Okay.
Yes. That is the best way for me to. It heightens my experience. I tap into the sacred much quicker and much deeper, with more fidelity towards whatever it is that's coming through from them to me. So, yeah, body. And that doesn't mean that there aren't times where I'm just I find that I drag my body along with me sometimes. I'm like that nose to the grindstone sort of mentality. I do that to my body. I'm just do it. Just be stronger, or just don't be tired, or why are you hungry?
It's girl, please.
Right? I don't like to think about it, but I can be very, if my body were another person, I would not talk to them that way.
You would be hard. This morning, I'd take something out of the refrigerator and I'd bang the little glass thing against the door. I was doing something else. When I was making your tea, I almost knocked the teapot over with the hot tea in it. I was doing all of this stuff, and I said, "Kimberly, stop that." And then I stopped for a moment and said, I'm going to cry. If I had heard somebody say that to their child, I would have said something, right? Sorry. And so I stopped and I said, "I am so sorry I said that to you." I mean, it was just how I remember reading years and years and years ago, we would never treat a stranger the way we treat our family, and we would never treat a stranger the way we treat ourselves. And so, I thought I'd outgrown that, damn it! But anyway, but I get that. I totally get that. It's just, because again, that's what we're taught. We're taught, our society prizes people who get up at 5 and, they work on 4 hours of sleep and that kind of stuff. That, we go, and, what is it? Rest when you die, or sleep when you die.
Yeah, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah.
I say that all the time. It's not good.
It's not good. And your body's every time you say that, I'm sure your body's cringing a little bit.
Right?
No, let's sleep now. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Why sleep whenever I'm dead? Why not sleep now?
Yeah. Yes. So we're works in progress.
It does feel like being, there are moments when I feel so happy and so proud of how I treat myself, and so grateful for my connection in this body to the sacred. And then there are other moments where I am horrible to myself, where I'm nitpicking at folds in my skin, or angry that I can't hold a certain shape in my handstand because my spine is curved. And so it makes it harder for me to shift to one hand because my body is literally not in a straight line. It can never be in a straight line. A straight line handstand is not available to me. It's not available to me.
But you have some fucking fabulous hands. I saw you on Instagram this morning.
Thank you.
Hopping into what did you call it?
It's called reverse hand-to-hand.
A reverse hand-to-hand. Yes, there we go.
Because my body is flipped 180 degrees from the normal hand-to-hand.
Just saying.
Yeah, and that is literally a wonder.
Do you know how many people can do that? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. Just imagine the number of people who can do that. It can't be that great a number.
Right.
I know I can't do it. So I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But you know what I'm saying? That's a miracle that you and your partner can do. That your body can do.
Yeah.
And it's just I think I on Instagram I think I commented like "damn girl" or something.
It was wonderful.
I was in I could just it keeps going. I was like I just let it go and go and go and go. It was amazing.
And in my good moments, I honor that about my body, and I say like, "Wow, body, what an amazing thing!"
Yes.
Like, look how strong I am. Look how my body is working. Like, look how my body is healthy and functioning in these ways, and my body can move, and my body is limber. And then in the moments where the moments I'm not proud of, the moments that there's a lot of work for me to be doing is, I look at it and I say, my back is flat when I go in that. I didn't articulate through my spine because I can't articulate that area of my spine. So I end up going in flat backed. So that's why my butt flies up like that. Like, I need to bend my spine. Like, why can't I just bend my spine? I just start focusing on these things and being really critical instead of resting in that wonder.
And we can always cut this. May I just bring something to your attention that you just said? So when you were, when all of the times you were saying like the wonderful things your body can do, you would say, my body does this, my body does that. And then when you were saying the things that you can't do, you would say, I can't do that, I can't do that. And I'm wondering if maybe during your celebratory moments, if you say, I can do that, like it makes you and your body a little more unified. Maybe, would that be helpful?
Yeah.
Just something to think about in the back of your head.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's all one unit, right?
Correct. I am here with my body.
With your body, yeah. So, and I might go back and listen to this, but you that might be something just to play with a little bit. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, so well, should we get to the poem maybe?
Yeah.
I mean, I know we probably didn't do as much as we could have, but we'll do a part two.
I mean, we can only do what's available to us, and I feel like the Supreme Court was like
kind of took some of
the
wind out of our sails.
Wind out of our sails and added fire instead of. No.
It took wind out of the sails of the good ship Lollipop.
Right.
It was going out on the Peppermint Bay, and do you know what I'm talking about at all?
I do know the song. The Good Ship.
Yeah, yes.
I know that song.
Okay,
I don't know anything else other than that song.
It was associated with Shirley Temple. Do you know who Shirley Temple is?
The curly-haired girl in the little dress with the little shoes.
Yes. Tap dancer. Yeah, it's really cute.
Also a drink.
And also the ambassador to, when she was older, obviously.
Okay.
Which means it was real. She was an ambassador, an amazing woman. Shirley Temple Black. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Anyway, but we digress.
Also, the last name Temple Black is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As a witch, like, can I have that? Like, Temple Black would be an awesome name.
Yes, yeah. Just saying. Okay.
Can we talk a little bit about the poem and how we got the poem?
Yes,
because
totally.
I think that's really important.
What was so funny, it had to have been last week. It was last week. So, a woman, a member of our circle who we interviewed last year, or 2 years ago, last year, whatever, Maggie, and we've mentioned her a couple of times, sent us an email and said, I came across this poem and I thought you'd be interested in it. And it was just so serendipitous because it was about body. And we knew we were going to be recording this episode, and so I typed her right back, and I didn't want to commit for the two of us, and I said, "Oh my God, this is perfect for what we're going through. What we're getting ready to record."
I just think that it's. I think I take it as validation.
Ooh,
I
of our work, of what we're doing,
our work and our connection with her and other people in our circle. And yeah, I don't I don't believe that it's a coincidence. Like when she sent something, I was like, well, this is going to be good. Because it's always anything.
It's always good.
Anything that she sends is good. But then whenever I read it, I was like, well, this makes total sense. Of course she would find this poem, and of course she would send it to us, and of course we're recording an episode about bodies in less than 7 days. Of course. Like, thank you so much, universe, for sending this to me, and thank you so much for allowing me to be in this amount of alignment where I'm able to receive. Like, that's how I felt.
I love how you put that. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, this is amazing. Thank you, universe. So the poem is by a poet, and which makes sense, I guess. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name properly. It's Atina O'Danner, and she is a poet, artist, and activist who supports a lot of liberation movements using her words and songs. And she's published a number of poems, and she calls herself a Black, queer, neurodivergent somebody, which I think is pretty amazing.
That sounds like somebody I want to hang out with.
Exactly. Her poem is Earthen Vessel. I wind down to a slow tick of breath that allows some room for humming. I can see all the women in me dancing a cartographic dance, mapping this life with their thousands of steps and stops. When the music washes over them, I am delighted. How many of them sing along?
I am the hands. I am the vessel. I am the water, the earth, the well. I am the clay, the jar, filled with grain, with seed, with root, with life, decay, and dust. Magma, shift. I am that flowing. I am the body, strata stacked, touching the ground, and you'll feel the heart of the world calling its whole self home.
A beautiful poem about being, in my opinion, being present in this body and recognizing the beauty of the body and its connection to so many other bodies. Thank you so much for being a part of our podcast.
Thank you so much for being the women that are dancing the dance inside of ourselves. That's my favorite line of the poem. Thank you for being a part of the group that dances with us in this podcast. We hope you have enjoyed the magic that has unfolded here at Witchy Wit.
It would be great if you would help make Witchy Wit possible and get access to exclusive content by donating on Patreon.
We'd love it if you join our Witchy community and enjoy shareable content on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Would you do us a big favor and support us by rating and reviewing us wherever you get your podcasts? It's free and helps witchy folks find us.
Feel free to email us at witchywitpodcast@gmail.com. We love to hear from our community. Reach out and let us know what's brewing in your cauldron.
New episodes are released every second and fourth Friday. Follow us on your favorite podcasting platform so our episodes go right to your playlist. You can listen as you ride your broom.
Stay witchy, y'all!